120Hz, 3 of the best cameras on any phone right now, and the best battery life on any phone, all for the price of 10 Benjamins. Well, that is the deal the new iPhone 13 Pros are offering you, so should you really even take a look at it, or should you say, oh so not pro? Over 14 years of iPhone, the world has gone from freedom to locked up back to freedom now. So, now that we are free again, how does the iPhone work being used in its original intended purpose? Mobility. The most important feature on any phone is the battery life. If your phone runs out of battery before you can make it through the end of the day, then why call it something used for mobility? Well, this year Apple took the battery life and turned up the notch to 120%. Yes, the battery life is just as great as you have heard, even with the new 120Hz display. More on that soon. Over my 2 weeks with the phone, I have not had to charge it before bed on any days, and over the past 4 years I've gotten used to where to put my phone on its wireless charger when I go to bed. But the phone is bigger now, and I'm not always putting it in the right place, so sometimes I'm waking up to a dead phone. And on my 11 Pro or my iPhone X and before that, that would have been an issue. My phone would not made it to noon. But now, even with 5-10 hours days, when my phone starts on 60%, I'm ending the day and my phone is still not dead. In fact, the other day my phone was last charged at 12:35 AM to 65%, but left on standby all night to then have 2 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time and 4 hours and 15 minutes of screen off time, only to be of 1% by day's end. The battery life on the iPhone 13 Pro is just crazy good. The new silky smooth 120Hz screen does not eat into the battery life, thanks to the screen being able to change its refresh rate depending on the content on the screen. While yes, the 120Hz screen on your iPhone is half a decade late to the party, Apple did finally make it to the party, and that is what counts in the end. The screen now goes up to 1000 nits max brightness, and coming from my 11 Pro, the brightness increase is obvious in bright sunlight. The notch got smaller by 20% this year. It is a notable difference, but sadly, even with this difference, Apple still won't add the battery percent to the status bar. Come on Apple, just let us remove the battery bar and let's add the percent. As per usual folks, Apple is still stubbornly sticking with Lightning for the iPhone, but switching over all their other products to USB-C. Apple introduced their new MagSafe technology last year, not to be confused with the good old days of Mac with MagSafe. This MagSafe is magnets on your iPhone, but wait, Apple brought MagSafe back to the Mac? To know more about that, make sure to check out my video on the Apple event from the other day. This year, Apple is still sticking with its MagSafe technology. This means the Apple magnetic wallets that fall off still work this year, but falling off. Now look folks, the only reason I'm a fan of MagSafe is because of the MagSafe wireless charger. After 4 years of using a wireless charger with the same size phone, I know where to put my phone when I go to bed to make sure it charges. But even after 4 years, I still put my phone down in the wrong spot sometimes, and last year Apple changed the iPhone 12 Pro from 5.8 inches to 6.1 inches. I put my phone on the wrong spot almost every night now due to the bigger size. This is the exact reason I want to get a MagSafe wireless charger, as you just put your phone near it, the magnets connect and boom, you will never wake up to a dead phone again. This year, Apple did not brag about the speed increase on its latest chip, the A15 Bionic. Instead, they were comparing it to other phones, saying 50% faster as per usual, but they normally compare it to their previous phones. The reason is, the CPU is only 14% faster this time, although the GPU has gone quite a lot faster this time, and thanks to Apple being able to make the GPU faster here, it looks like they've taken that technology and putting up a new M1 Pro and M1 Max chip. But also, when was the last time your phone felt slow? Phones just really aren't that slow now compared to phones in 2012. Now, before I move on to the part of the review I'm sure you all want to know about, the cameras, I'm first going to talk about the hardware on the phone quickly. I don't use the speakers on my phone very often, but when I use the speakers, they do sound good now. Yes, AirPods or headphones will sound better than the phone speakers, but for phone speakers, they sound good. Oh, and yes folks, the headphone jack is still gone on your iPhone and almost every other phone, and who do you have to blame for that? Apple, and do you know why?
Courage.
The buttons on your iPhone 13 Pro feel great and tactical. The power button feels a lot better than it ever did on my iPhone 11 Pro, and same with the volume buttons. I just feel the tactile feedback every time I press it. This year, the camera's got some big updates with some big claims from Apple. So did Apple put Hollywood in your pocket this time around? The wide lens, as per usual, is the best lens on the phone. In this photo I got of the sunset, the lens managed to capture the details really well. The shadows and the highlights are very much close to what was in real life. And in all the other pictures I've taken on a wide angle, they have turned out almost perfect. The telephoto lens went from a 2x zoom or a 2.5x zoom to a 3x zoom. The difference in the zoom is not really that much though as you think it would be. Although this year I keep noticing the lens is getting more and more grainy pictures than it ever was before.
Alright, so I know what I just said, like, the camera's getting super grainy pictures. So, it's getting grainy pictures, but, turns out I'm an idiot. Basically, I was measuring the grainy pictures, but I went really up close with the macro lens. When I pressed it 3 times down, so what happens there, that's still using the ultra-wide lens, but the ultra-wide lens is zooming in 3 times, I'm pretty sure. So, kind of scuffed a bit, so all the other pictures I've taken, other than the ones where I'm super close, it seems perfectly fine. Still a bit grainy, but not as bad. Also, what? I'm seeing on I'm taking this on the phone, front facing camera for a test, but what is that back there? It looks like there's some weird, like, blodge. That looks weird on the phone. Hopefully that doesn't come out in the video, or if it does, maybe front facing camera bad.
I'm also finding it harder to get shots now because the 3 times zoom is too close, but the 1 time zoom is too far away. When I used the ultra wide lens of my iPhone 11 Pro, unless it was very bright outside, I always thought it was too grainy to use. But now the ultra wide lens lets in a lot more light now, and I'm finding myself using it a lot more inside now. It is great to be able to quickly have a wide angle lens that is reliable and not that grainy. In this picture, where you can see my writing setup for this review, the photo does not have much noticeable grain. If you zoom into the keyboard on my Keychron K6, you can't see the letters though, and the letters on the Magic Keyboard are not very clear, and of course there's grain once you zoom in that much. The night mode's quite impressive to be honest with you. You can hold the lens open for 10 seconds now instead of the 3 of yesteryear. In all photos I've taken of night mode, it has been impressive so far, but there's some grain when you zoom in, and sometimes you can see weird pixels. It looks like a 3-year-old took a paintbrush and threw pixels at a canvas. One of the new features that Apple added this year to all phones was macro mode. Macro mode allows you to go really close up to a subject and get a picture without losing focus, and also capture lots of detail. So far, macro mode has been impressive for getting detailed shot of items up close. This turns into a problem sometimes though, as the phone will sometimes only change to the lens when a subject is right in front of the lens, and will not always use the mode, or will change you don't want it to because you want to keep the natural depth of field, but you want a little too close and the phone wants to change. Apple are releasing a software update apparently, so you can change it manually. Hopefully the update comes soon and fixes this issue, as right now the way it works is obnoxious and annoying. With the macro mode so far, I've been able to get shots like this. This shot of my dog's nose was taken with macro mode. If you zoom in, you can see all the texture on his nose, and it is amazing. Oh, and the coolest thing with the macro mode is that it also works in video. Portrait mode aired on the iPhone in 2016, and since then it's been missing the hair and glasses in all photos almost. This year, it is still not that good. I use portrait mode occasionally, as it's just not that good. But this year, thanks to the bigger lens and sensors on the camera, I'm noticing normal shots when I go decent range up close or even a bit far away, I'm getting natural bokeh out, which is really cool getting out on a phone. Speaking of portrait mode, this year Apple added the new cinematic mode to the camera. So how does it hold up to Apple's absurd claims? Cinematic mode, in case you didn't know, blurs the background of your video using machine learning, kind of like a cinematic video, which is why it's called cinematic mode. You can even change the focus after you take the video, which is really cool. Well, even though it is a really cool idea, it's just not too practical. I've noticed every time I do use the mode that the edges and hair still get cut off and other items still get cut off. While the feature is great, I still can't see people using it properly for a few more years. And if you want to see a longer test, I recorded my Kindle Oasis review using the cinematic mode. Oh, and also the cinematic mode only goes to 1080p with 30 frames per second, which is a bit of a letdown. The iPhone has always been amazing at taking videos. This year, there is no difference. The iPhone takes some amazing videos. The videos it takes in 4K 24 frames per second look stunning. All videos are now shot in Dolby Vision HDR, and from a software update coming soon, only to the Pro phones though, you'll be able to shoot in ProRes. But ProRes takes up a lot of space, which is why you can also get a 1TB iPhone this year. Over my past 3 weeks with this phone, it has been an amazing experience, and if you are looking for a new phone that is an iPhone, I would get a 13 Pro or 13. If you enjoyed this video, then it would really help me out if you like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you later.